This is me at 210 pounds. I lost the weight with cardio, bodyweight workouts, and extreme calorie restriction, but then shortly after, regained most of the weight. 1 year later, I lost the fat again, but this time it was different. I've now reached the point where I stay lean despite having a worrying appetite. These are the biggest fat loss tips that have completely changed my life, and will hopefully help you lose fat and keep it off long term. What do each of these diets have in common? They're all effective for weight loss. In fact, they work in the exact same way. Keto restricts carbs, low fat restricts fat, and carnivore restricts the amount of friends you have. If they ever lead to fat loss, it's because they're eliciting a calorie deficit. This is why intermittent fasting can help some people. It makes it easier to eat less calories. So if all diets work, why did I spend weeks making a video about diet cults? It's not that diets fail to work, it's that you fail to stick to them. So you need to find the intersection between effectiveness and enjoyability. After estimating your weight loss calories with an online calculator, the first thing to set is protein. I aim for around 1 gram per pound of body weight per day, because protein is quite filling, and I want to minimize the chances of losing muscle. I regularly have these high protein foods. A high protein diet will help prevent you looking like this after you lose fat. Next, make sure you get enough healthy fats for vitamin absorption and hormone regulation. Then spread the rest of your calories as you choose. I tried to do this without tracking, but I found I'd just eat far too little some days, and then far too much on others. I also wasn't aware of the surprising calorie content in some of the foods that I was regularly eating. Most of the fitness influencers who claim to eat intuitively have tracked before, and they're just using this knowledge. It takes 15 minutes a day, and once you've done it for a couple of months, it either becomes a more automatic habit, or you can estimate things a bit more. I also weigh myself daily. When you do this, it's important to zoom out and assess weight loss on a weekly basis, because your weight will fluctuate. If you're repulsed by the idea of tracking, these next tips will still work, but if you're struggling to lose weight, it might be time to try something new. Of course, you can keep the scale weight coming down, eating nothing but takeaways, like the guy from the Subway adverts. But he's an awful role model.
Nonce.
But also, because although any diet works, trying to lose weight, eating nothing but potato chips and takeaways, is dieting on hard mode. This doesn't mean you need to cut foods out. It's usually best to make gradual substitutions, like switching sugary drinks for sugar-free drinks, high-calorie condiments for low-calorie condiments, and fatty foods for less fatty foods. If you have a ferocious appetite like me, you need to increase the volume of food you eat. This means bulking out meals with salads, adding fruit and vegetables to your diet, and making them taste nice with the following methods. I used to be against any form of artificial sweeteners, but if you're overweight, you've probably got your priorities in the wrong order. It's best to lose the weight and then worry about nutritional intricacies. Generally, it comes down to switching from ultra-processed foods to more filling foods that you actually enjoy. Adding something like chia seeds to your protein shake can help fill you up, because they expand in your stomach. They're very filling per calorie. Here are some more examples of foods that I eat, which are low in calories while also being quite filling. I always keep frozen berries in my freezer, low-fat yogurt, oats and protein powder, and I regularly alternate between porridge, yogurt, protein ice cream, or just snacking on the fruit. This helps keep me full for very few calories while also being nutritious. When I want something sweet, I'll have something like a lower calorie hot chocolate. I've liked these for as long as I can remember, but this has to be enjoyable to you. Instead of having a Big Mac, I'll have something like a homemade one with a leaner meat. Instead of a Domino's, I'll have a flatbread pizza. And instead of Ben & Jerry's, I'll have some Greek yogurt, fruit and honey, or a protein ice cream. It helps to try and trick your brain, so it feels like you're not in a calorie deficit. Over time, your taste will adjust, so this will taste way less bleak. Sticking to similar meal timings is much more important than following a specific rigid meal plan. For me, I like this meal structure, but others can work too. Here's some of my favourite quick snacks, and here's some of my favourite meals. Ideally, you want to compile a stash of recipes and snack ideas for the future, to the point where your fat loss diet is so good that your regular diet after isn't too different. Do this 80% of the time, and you can make excellent progress. The other 20% of the time, you can do what you want. Like every now and again, I like the type of foods that would make our ancestors gag, such as these donut-flavoured wings, or this. Now, the 80-20 approach might not allow you to win bodybuilding shows, but it's enough to get this lean. There are plenty of supplements. In fact, this one helped me lose 30 pounds. Unfortunately, it was from my wallet. The only supplements that I like for fat loss are caffeine and protein powder. These can help keep you full and make fat loss ever so slightly easier, and they're backed by science and logic. Gaining muscle will help you look much leaner and will help boost your metabolism. So I recommend some form of evidence-based resistance training plan. 3 times a week is enough to make great progress. And how you train largely depends on your goals, but you need to try your best to achieve progressive overload or to maintain your strength. My training style is a mix between running, martial arts, and weights. It's what I personally enjoy most. The running helps me stay leaner and able to stick to my diet with more ease, not because of the calories it burns, but because my performance will suffer if I start eating loads of junk. I've always wanted to be fast, more so than I wanted to get marginally more muscular, and I really recommend finding some form of sport which gives you more of a reason to be in shape. Whether that's football or hobby horsing, it doesn't really matter, as long as it's something you want to get good at or something you can enjoy. But if you have a job and or life, you probably only exercise a small fraction of your time. The majority of your calorie deficit is in your control through your diet and your daily activity. In fact, this daily activity was one of the biggest factors that led to my weight gain. I went from a manual job to working sat down at a desk all day. This graph shows how many calories you typically burn with different jobs. The less active you are, the more important it becomes to increase your non-exercise activity. 10,000 steps is a brilliant goal for most, but if you're extremely busy, adding 2,000 steps a day can help. 1,000 steps is roughly 10 minutes of walking, and if you can't walk, it will be tougher, but there's still ways to be more active. Sleep deprivation can negatively impact your willpower, increase your hunger hormones, and hinder the amount of fat you lose. I'm not going to start speaking about the science before anyone throat punches me, but I recommend these books. To summarize, try to get at least 7.5 hours of sleep per day. Do what you can to improve your sleep environment. No matter how busy you are, you should have a pre-sleep routine. Ideally, this is 60 minutes where you relax and mute your work emails to ensure your sleep quality is good. Tracking may help, but there's a growing trend of orthosomnia, the obsession with perfect sleep. Don't be that person. Exercise and eating well is beneficial regardless of how much sleep you get. And improved sleep comes from being healthy and managing your stress in the day. The easiest way to address your stress around fitness is to stop your bad habits. All or nothing thinking was the biggest problem that caused me to yo-yo between getting fatter and losing the fat. When I would diet, I wanted the best diet. I wanted to get 100%, not 90%. But this often leads to bad habit spirals. Because my standards were so high, doing something as small as eating a chicken select was seen as failure. Maybe this then causes your scale weight to jump up and undoes all of your progress. This will do you know, the vast majority of this weight is just water weight. So before you give everything up and go back to acquiring the build of Vector from 𝗧𝗶𝗽𝗀, just get back to it the next day. This is the never miss twice rule. A flexible approach sounds like it will lead to mediocre results, but this couldn't be further from the truth. Improve by 1% per day, and you'll be 37 times better off after a year. This is the aggregation of marginal gains. These 1% improvements could be learning to make a healthier snack, ordering 3 McDonald's wraps instead of 4, or taking the stairs instead of using the elevator. It all adds up. And this is the biggest secret behind my transformation. Bad habits also compound, so you want to avoid this happening. But you'll notice a lot of your current habits are deeply ingrained in who you are. For example, a lot of us get told off when we're young for not finishing our food because there's starving children in Africa. I used to see it as disrespectful to leave food unfinished, so much so that I'd eat other people's leftovers. Also thinking more food made me stronger or more manly. It turns out an African child will not die because you didn't finish your lasagna, and devouring big portions didn't make me more manly, it made me fat. Our automatic habits around food often hold us back. To change, you need to recognize and replace these beliefs, choosing the habits that healthier, leaner people have. Sometimes this is sacrificing a full English breakfast for something like this, using smaller spoons to trick your brain into feeling like there's more food, or only using half the sauce provided. But changing your identity and mindset takes time. So in the meantime, you can set up some systems that can make it easier for you to get in shape, because your environment is the invisible hand which shapes human behavior. It was a massive contributing factor to 96% of Nauru becoming overweight. Think you're immune to external influences with your monk-like discipline and willpower? Well, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. That's not a threat, it's a Mike Tyson quote. Some days sticking to the plan was easy. Others, my car kept pulling towards the McDonald's drive-thru. What helped me guard my willpower was implementing basic systems. I solved the takeaway problem with simple, lazy backup meals. Maybe it's a quick, reasonably healthy ready meal, or a leaner chicken kebab instead of a greasy mystery meat one. Healthier and better tasting meal prep for lunches also helps a ton. Life's a lot better when you pull out something decent at lunch, as opposed to a shriveled chicken breast. For breakfasts, I like something which can be assembled in 2 minutes. This way, you always have options. Coming up with simple systems and tweaks that reduces your dependence on willpower is how you make fat loss significantly easier. And by far the biggest system to consider is what you're going to be doing after the fat loss phase. There's a reason most people on fat loss programs regain their weight back. It's the same reason the weight loss industry is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. As Ben Carpenter puts it, diets don't work, habits do. For me, I like to enjoy food, and I try to get stronger. So typically each year, I allow my weight to trend up slowly, with a few months spent losing fat. If I wanted to stay where I am, it'd be easy enough to do, because I've followed everything in this video for quite a while now. But this isn't to demotivate you. My biggest mistake from the start was not being grateful for my current position. There's someone in a hospital bed who would love to be in your position right now. Whenever you lose motivation, remember action and motivation are a cycle. If you lack motivation, take action and you'll lead to motivation. When you're motivated, take even more action and it'll lead to even more motivation. This is what's worked for me, and it's definitely changed my life for the better. I hope something here has been helpful to you too. If you want an actionable plan and a summary of this video, I've put together a free guide in the description. I'll also send you some of the biggest tips which have helped me, because I'm still learning a lot, and it's these little mindset shifts which make all the difference. But if you want to see why I care so much about sharing this information, watch this video next.